Good afternoon, everyone. My name is John Toll. I'm a Managing Director at Canaccord in the investment banking team in Perth, and it's my pleasure to be moderating this session. We have an amazing lineup of speakers today, the first of which is Francois Swanepoel, the Chief Operating Officer at Goldfields. Francois was appointed to the position of Chief Operating Officer for Goldfields in September 2025. His career with Goldfields spans more than 30 years, during which he's held various operational, technical and project roles at several of the company's assets in Australia, Chile, Ghana, Peru and South Africa. Francois played a pivotal part in the conception, design and more recently the ramp up of the high altitude Salares Norte mine in Chile. He was appointed as Chief Technical Officer in 2023, a position which he held until his transition to Chief Operating Officer.
Thank you, John. I draw your attention to our forward-looking statements, and I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we gather and pay our respects to elders past and present. So Goldfields is a globally diversified pure-play gold producer with a rich 139-year experience. As you've heard, I've been with the company a long time. Unfortunately, I wasn't there at the inception. Today, I'll share with you our strategy, our recent performance, and some of our plans for the future. Our purpose is very clear. It's to create enduring value beyond mining. And we implement this through our strategy, which is firstly to operate in a safe, reliable, and cost-effective manner, to generate positive impact on our communities or in our communities and the environment through responsible mining practices, and to grow the quality of our portfolio. Now, a key enabler of our strategy is our culture of care and accountability, which simply means that every person takes full responsibility for safety and performance. But let me just pause on safety for a moment. I cannot stress deeply enough that we are committed to ensuring that every single person goes home safely every day. We've commissioned a global review of our safety practices in 2024 and implemented the safety improvement plan, which is focused on leadership accountability, improving our culture, and uplifting the capability of our people. I'm very glad to see, or to say that we are seeing positive results from that campaign. But we are very aware that the focus on safety requires constant focus, and we will continue our relentless pursuit on eliminating hazards from our workplaces. So moving on to our portfolio, Goldfields operates 8 assets globally, 4 mines in Australia, and 1 each in South Africa, Ghana, Chile, and Peru. We are also making our entry into Canada through the Windfall project in Quebec. Most of our production comes from Tier 1 jurisdictions. So during the past decade, Goldfield delivered on market guidance almost every year. But there was one exception, 2024, when we had to revise our guidance downwards because of severe climatic events that impacted the commissioning of Salares Norte in Chile. I am glad to say, however, that we returned to form very quickly in 2025 with a successful ramp-up this time of Salares Norte, allowing us to deliver above plan and to achieve the upper end of our market guidance range once again. Production for the year was 18% up year on year to 2.44 million ounces at an all-in cost of $1,927 per ounce. This improved operational performance, together with buoyant metal prices, lifted our free cash flow from operations by 175% to just over $3 billion US. Cash flow generation was well balanced across the portfolio, with approximately 1 billion delivered from our Australian assets, 1 billion from our African assets, and 1 billion from our South American operations. We further started 2026 on a strong note, with production during Q1 up 15% year-on-year at 633,000 ounces, and have maintained our market guidance after our Q1 results. Our Q2 results will be announced later this month. Let's take a closer look at our assets in Australia, the 4 mines. Australia remains the cornerstone of our production, and we have steadily grown our footprint in Western Australia, firstly through the acquisition of St. Ives and Agnew back in 2001, Granny Smith in 2013, 50% of Gruyere in 2018, and Gold Road in 2025. The Australian assets delivered 1.1 million ounces, or very close to 1.1 million ounces during 2025. The quality of our Australian assets is evident when considering that we've been able to replace mining depletion year on year, which is now cumulative 20 million ounces since acquisition of these assets. And our reserve position at the end of 2025 is in fact stronger than it's ever been in Australia. I would like to dive a little bit deeper into our cornerstone asset, St. Ives. So Goldfields and previous operators have mined more than 60 distinct deposits at St. Ives. Today, mining is centered around the Invincible and Hamlet underground complexes and the Santa Ana open pit complex. The Invincible ore body will be the anchor of production for the next 2 decades. Invincible was discovered in 2012 and is recognized as the most significant discovery in the history of St. Ives. Today, Invincible comprises approximately 1/3 of our mill feed, and the objective is to increase that to 2/3 by 2032 to take advantage of the higher grade of the underground ore body. So in April of this year, we commenced with the development of twin declines, 5 km in length, to enable this increase in production into the future. What is truly exciting about St. Ives is that we are transforming this mine after 24 or 25 years of operation into a modern and efficient mine once again. And we're doing this through a number of projects. The first is the delivery of our 77 megawatt renewable energy plant. That was a $300 million Australian dollar investment, and we're currently in commissioning. And that plant will generate sufficient energy to supply around 70% of the energy requirements, electrical energy requirements of St. Ives at approximately 50% of the unit rate that we've paid before. We are also working on increasing the metallurgical recovery of sulfide ores, and we're looking forward to increasing met recovery by 1.5% during 2027. And lastly, we are planning the complete change-out of the St. Ives SAG mill, gearless mill drive, in 2028. And that should really set the plant up to produce well into the 2040s. I called Kambalda home for a couple of years, some 20 years ago. I was a much younger engineer back then. And I can recall the optimism around St. Ives, or the future of St. Ives, during the construction of the Lefroy mill at the time. But I can honestly say that our optimism today is even greater with our current understanding of the resource, the new infrastructure that we've provided, and the potential around the larger land package. So it's really exciting times for St. Ives. Secondly, Granny Smith. Granny Smith is a high-quality, long-life asset. The Wallaby deposit is unique in that it's got stacked gold loads, which repeats at depth, approximately 1 million ounces per load. And we're currently mining the Z135 lode, which is approximately 1.3 kilometers below surface. We're developing towards the Z150, 1.5 kilometers below surface, and we're already doing exploration drilling of the Z160. So we also see Granny Smith continuing into the 2040s. Agnew the team at Agnew has got an incredible track record of reserve replacement. And we always talk about Agnew as the mine with a 3-year life, but it has been so for the last 30 years. At Gruyere, we've completed the integration of the assets following the Gold Road acquisition and working on the optimization and setting this asset up for long-term delivery. South Deep. South Deep is a unique asset. It is our bulk mechanized underground mine in South Africa. The mine currently exploits the Upper Elsburg Reefs, which is at an average depth of 2,700 meters below surface. I'm mentioning the Elsburg Reefs because it's unique to the other reefs in the Wits Basin, which typically have a width of 2 meters. The Elsburg Reefs actually opens up at South Deep into an overall package of up to 120 meters, which really lends that deposit to mechanization and allows us to safely extract efficiently from that ore body, which is a challenge for other South African gold mining operations. Now, for those of you that's been following South Deep's journey, will know that it's been really difficult. In fact, the mine had negative cash flows from 2006 through to 2019. But what I can say is that the mine has since transformed into an important and consistent cash flow generator for the group and delivered more than $500 million in free cash flow during 2025. That is an extraordinary turnaround. It is further one of the largest known gold deposits in the world, with mineral reserves of 27.6 million ounces and a life of mine more than 80 years. So the team actually has now commenced with a surface exploration program for the first time in a decade to inform strategic decisions and see how we can actually bring some of that value forward. In Ghana, Tarkwa is a consistent producer in the 500,000 ounce per annum range, and we've just recently concluded our feasibility study suggesting that there's at least another 20 years life associated with that asset. We are currently working to secure the renewal of our mining leases to continue to deliver value to all of our stakeholders in Ghana. In Peru, Cerro Corona transitioned to stockpile rehandling, so the mining of the open pit is now complete, but it remains a low-cost producer and will be drawing from the stockpiles probably for another 4 years. So we will enjoy significant cash flows from that deposit going forward. We are considering various strategic options to see how we can extend the life of Cerro Corona firstly, and secondly, extend our time in Peru. And then Chile. Salares Norte is the newest operation in the group. It's a major gold and silver mining project in the Atacama region of Chile. It was discovered and developed by Gold Fields for a total investment of $1.2 billion. I will just talk a little bit more. I'm really passionate about this project. I spend a lot of time on this. So it's a spectacular location. It's a desert landscape that's dominated by ancient volcanoes, salt plains, and expansive skies. A really beautiful landscape. These attributes, however, makes for beautiful scenery, but it does provide for a very challenging development project. The altitude is 4,500 meters above sea level, which basically means that the effective oxygen levels are only 60% of what you'd get at sea level. So just breathing is almost twice as difficult. Secondly, it's got very challenging climatic conditions, with wind gusts frequently over 100 kilometers per hour. Temperatures during winter dip to minus 20, and if you put the wind on top of that, wind chill goes down to minus 35 degrees Celsius. It's also water scarce, being located in the Atacama Desert, the driest desert in the world outside of the polar regions. But we knew about these challenges and we could prepare for them. What we didn't know, however, was that we would have to build this project during a global pandemic. So what's interesting here is that Chile's patient zero for COVID contracted the virus while on honeymoon in Southeast Asia and actually arrived back in Chile only a week after we got final construction approval for the project. The diagnosis of patients zero caused strict lockdowns across the country, and obviously we had to go into social distancing. Now, for anyone who's developed a project will know that camp capacity is key to executing our project. From day one, we lost 50% of our capacity, 50% of our seats on our planes, 50% of spaces on buses, so we had to reposition ourselves very quickly. Regardless, we executed the project successfully, and today it counts with best available technology in tailings and water management. It's got very advanced remote digital oversight analytics capabilities that we employ from the Santiago office, about 800 kilometers from site. And with the official opening in October 2025, the government of Chile recognized the mine as a milestone for boosting national gold production and upholding high technological and sustainability standards. We are particularly proud that female participation rate at Salares is twice the national average for the sector in Chile. With the ramped up now complete and the plant producing at or above nameplate, it generated more than $800 million US in free cash flow during 25, which I think is remarkable considering that it was a ramp up year. This strong performance continued into Q1, and the team delivered 173,000 ounces at an all-in sustaining cost of $102 per ounce and an all-in cost of $165 per ounce, which I think everyone will agree is significantly below industry average. We are, in fact, expecting payback on our investment into Salares within a year of declaring commercial production. So that's quite a compelling graph. Moving on to growing the value of our portfolio. So we've got three levers that we employ to grow our portfolio. The first is bolt-on M&A, and we know we've been through the Gruyere acquisition very recently. Brownfields exploration, where we spent $115 million during 2025. And greenfields exploration. There, obviously, the key project for us at the moment is the Windfall project in Canada, where we're currently progressing with engineering, operational readiness, and preparing to execute the project once we have approval from the government or from COMEX. So just looking at brownfields exploration, so this is basically the impact from the $115 million that we spent. As you can see, that together with the Gold Road acquisition resulted in an uplift of 4 million ounces in our reserve position for the year. And what's pleasing to say or to note is that at the end of 2025, our reserve position is higher than it was in 2021. So quite a good outcome, and credit to our exploration team for realizing that value. On the greenfields front, our strategy is very simple. It's to build the next generation of Gold Fields assets that will sustain production beyond 2035. My personal ask to the team is to find another Salares Norte, this time maybe at a slightly lower altitude. So Gold Fields operates in world-class jurisdictions, and that's obviously our first choice. We will, however, look at emerging jurisdictions if the risk-reward profile stacks up. We allocate capital efficiently by a balanced approach between 100% ourselves, joint ventures, and strategic equity stakes. Our portfolio now spans over 20 active projects across 4 continents with strong capability uplift following the Osisko and Gold Road acquisitions. On the community side, and this is very important, ultimately our purpose is to deliver enduring value from our operations. That is delivering value to investors, governments, and directly into regional communities and traditional custodians. We are very proud of our contributions. In 2025, we generated $5.78 billion in value for our stakeholders. Of that, $2.3 billion was in Australia. So if we look at Australia, the Australian operations contributed $851 million in payments to government through taxes, royalties and other payments. We spent nearly $800 million with host community suppliers. Through native title agreements and related partnerships, we contributed $50 million in royalties and payments to traditional owners. Our operations generated $68.3 million in host community employment benefits. We also invested $2.6 million in community development initiatives, which help to build stronger, healthier, and more resilient communities through education, training, health, and well-being. These contributions bring to life what it means to create shared value, where success is shared and true partnerships are formed, generating lasting economic and social benefits for the communities that host our operations. In closing, we have a quality portfolio of assets, highly capable people, a strong resource base, and disciplined approach to capital allocation. That positions us well to generate superior value to all of our stakeholders. While market conditions are very favorable at the moment, we are focused on two things. Firstly, to ensure our business is resilient into the future, despite whatever price we may have to deliver at. And secondly, to consistently and safely deliver to plan. Thank you.